Well, hey guys, it's Wednesday and it's youth group time. So here we are. We're talking more about God and all of his attributes. We have 7 promises of God to you, and we're working through those. And today, the attribute is God promises to fight for you. Have you ever had a situation you just don't know how to deal with it? It just seems too big, too difficult, too maybe violent to deal with? God is with you. And there's verses of this all over the Bible, you guys. It's everywhere in the Bible you look. There's verses where God is willing to fight for you. Let me read you this one verse, and I've got an interesting story that goes along with it. And then we'll talk a little more about this particular attribute of God. Listen to this, would you? This is out of Hosea 13:8, and it says, I will encounter them like a bear robbed of her cubs, and I will tear open their chests. There I will also devour them like a lioness, as a wild beast would tear them. Holy moly. That's our God, you guys. I know that sounds really graphic, but it shows 2 animals there that are being used to describe your God. And it's a lion and a bear. You know, one time I was scouting for deer, and we were in the Rocky Mountains, so we were in Utah, me and a buddy. And we were scouting for deer. And back then, there were no Google Maps, there was none of that. And we found a very remote area where we actually had to hike in, and we stored MREs, and we buried them so that when we came back to deer hunt, we would have food there. It kind of alleviated some of the load that we had to carry in. It was quite a ways in. We set up camp, and we started to scout for deer. Now, keep in mind that we're a half-day hike from the truck, and then the truck was several hours down a jeep trail, and then several hours down back into town. So we're a good solid day and a half into town. And we're scouting for deer, and we're moving around, see lots of deer sign, and we come across a dead deer, and it had been devoured by something. And we thought, ooh, how cool is this, right? And it's all tore apart. It was an older kill, so you couldn't really tell what went on. But not too far from there, we found bear tracks. And there's grizzly bears in the area. So we got very nervous. And are you familiar with grizzly bears? Why do you think we got nervous? Can you think of a reason? Well, there's several reasons. One, a bear is a very powerful animal. It is the apex predator of the Rocky Mountains. Secondly, and equally as important, is you don't get in the way of a mama bear and her cubs, right? You just don't do it. You don't get between a bear and her cubs. Everyone, I think, knows that, but if you're ever in that situation, don't do it. And if you ever find cubs and you're on the wrong side of the mom and the bear, you're in real trouble. I'll just tell you that right now. But we found ourselves in a situation where, after seeing bear tracks and seeing a kill, we thought, we better get out of here. So we backed out of that area and hunted a different valley, and all was well. We didn't see a bear, but it was enough to keep you on alert, right? Because everyone knows the power of a bear. I think you've heard enough stories or in the news or read them in a paper, magazines, where a bear is a powerful animal and will just absolutely destroy a human being. I mean, even with what we think is our power, they are insanely powerful. They're as fast as a horse. They have it all, right? They're the triple threat type of animal. But God in Hosea is also described in the likeness of a lioness. Have you guys ever seen a lion? First of all, I tend to, when I see a lion, or when I would used to see a lion in my mind's eye, I would think of them as about the size of a mountain lion. And a mountain lion is, maybe a couple 100 pounds. But a lion it can close in on 500 pounds, you guys. This is a big animal. I mean, the head of a male lion is enormous. They can fit your head in their mouth. And then, furthermore, a lioness is a powerful animal. A lion can take down animals much larger than them just through power and strength and ferocity. And this is how the God of the Bible is described when it comes fighting for you. Did you know that? Are you even aware that God would fight for you like a lioness? We went on a mission trip to Kenya, several years ago, Tanya, myself, and several other people, but we were both there. And part of our mission trip, we wanted to take some time just to kind of, as things were ending, just kind of unwind a little bit. It's a powerful situation. So we actually took some time and just did a day safari, okay? And what that entailed was simply getting in an open Jeep and driving around a safari park, all right? It was a large park. It was actually a park near Nairobi. And we got lucky that day. We saw all 5 of the deadliest animals of Africa. And I think in that group is a rhino, Cape buffalo, leopard, lion, maybe 2 types of rhino. I don't remember what it was, but we saw them all, you guys. And they said it's just so unusual to see all of them. So the leopard was by far the coolest, but I got to tell you something we sort of saw, but sort of didn't see. And it's the lion. See, when you're in Africa, there's lots of trees and there's lots of grass, and the grass is very thick. Imagine the fields around here, but before they get mowed. You know, the grass is about 3 feet high and it's yellowish. So, you know, like in the fall, it starts to die off. Well, it's that color in Africa. And if you know the color of a lion, it's that tawny yellow, orangish kind of color. And we're in the Jeep, and we get a radio call that there's lions at this location. So our driver drives over there, and he says they're right there. And I'm looking down in the grass here, and I see absolutely nothing. But you can see the grass sort of moving. And then I stare in there long enough, and I hunt, so I'm used to kind of picking animals out of vegetation. I look in there long enough, and finally I see a tail move. And I said, okay, I see something there. I see a tail. And he said, well, and he says, there's like 6 lionesses there. And I'm like, holy moly. And I'm not kidding you guys. This was right off the edge of the road, 10 feet in the grass. And they're there on a zebra kill. And he said what they're doing is they're laying there with the zebra kill protecting. He goes, if you step out of this vehicle, you're done. Well, I wasn't going to step out of the vehicle. There was no way on earth. But these lionesses were just waiting next to the kill to just destroy one of us that stepped out of this vehicle. Their power is immense. It's incredible. It's unfathomable. And that's your God of the universe. There's other verses in the Bible where it talks about God's power and how he's here to protect you. And I'll read a couple of them to you. I'm in Isaiah here, and it's Isaiah 52:12, where it describes God this way. But do not leave in haste or go in flight, for the Lord will go before you, and God, the God of Israel, will be your rear guard. That's describing God in another way. It could be like a pack of lions where the lionesses are at the front and the rear and the cubs are in the middle. You could think of it that way. It could also be a military formation where you have men in front of you and in back of you to your rear, because your 6 o'clock is your vulnerable position, and they're there protecting both sides. God of the universe is described the same way. And again in Isaiah, the God of the universe is, I will contend with those who contend with you. Ooh. When you hear it that way, it doesn't sound like much, but when you put it in the context of a bear or a lion, you start to understand what God means when he says, I will contend with those who contend with you. It's like, I don't envy to be in their position. But the one I want to focus on today is in Exodus, and it's maybe because I've been reading the Bible through, and I read this a couple weeks ago, and I thought of you guys. And it says here in Exodus 14:14, for the Lord, oh man, I can't see anything without these glasses anymore. But it says here, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And that's the one I want to focus on. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Again, have there ever been those situations where you just don't know what to do? You don't know how to contend with them. They just seem too big. Sometimes you just need to be still. Like a lion cub, like a bear cub. Sometimes you just need to get out of God's way and pray to God that he will take care of whatever it is that's in your way. In Exodus, the Israelites are fleeing from Egypt, okay? And they've been under Egyptian control for many, many years. And they've left, and Moses is leading them out, okay? And now they come to the Red Sea, and there's no way across it. There's a sea in front of them. Imagine Lake Superior in front of you, and there's no way around it. You're looking both ways. It's like, all I see is water, guys. And now look to your 6 o'clock, and what's coming? The entire Egyptian army is coming in chariots, and they're coming with their best warriors, and they're coming to slaughter you. What do? You're stuck there. And it's at this moment, when you're stuck on the shores of Lake Superior with no way to cross, and you look behind you, and here comes the armies of the world ready to destroy you, that the God of the universe says to you, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. You know, there's times we just need to get out of God's way and let him do for you what he wants to do so desperately. Imagine that. And it's at that moment, imagine being at the shores of Lake Superior. It's at that moment that Moses parts the Red Sea. They cross on dry ground. It says many times in there, dry ground, dry ground, dry ground, because I've heard theists say, well, or opponents to the Bible say, well, if you part the sea at the very best, it would be muddy and you would sink in the mud. Dry ground, dry ground, dry ground. It says it 3 different times in the verses afterwards that I could find, and it may say it more times. The ground was dry, you guys. The God of the universe let the Israelites cross. As they get across and the chariots of Egypt enter, in come the water, and it floods and kills them. That's the God of the universe. The power of the God of the universe wants to help you, and you just need to give him an opportunity to do that, you guys. Sometimes we just need to pray and be still. We love you guys. Take care. Can't wait to see you guys again. Have a wonderful day, and know your God is ready to fight for you. Love you guys.